the odds are that Harry will actually get through this movie without falling asleep.
Oh, probably. Welcome everybody to another episode of Beer, Pizza and a Movie. My name's Harry, I'm hungover.
Yep. He is. It was Harry's birthday yesterday and he's very, very naughty.
Yeah, I don't feel good.
I don't feel great, but I have what might be a septuple espresso on the go, and it's really good. Really, really good.
Well, I feel like I might die.
Yeah, you know that kind of hangover where you feel like you might die and think that that might be an improvement? That's the kind of place Harry's at right now.
So it's a special episode today, because it's the day after my birthday. And also, well, we're hungover, so watching a shit film. We're going to watch Batman and Robin.
It's so awful. I tried to veto this and I was outvoted. My veto was outvoted.
And also, this episode probably won't get any views because our one listener is actually guesting. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hello, John.
It's an honour to be here.
Yep.
Long
It's
time
good to
listener,
have you.
first time caller.
Yep. It's good to have you here, John. No one's listening now, so we can do whatever we want, but I'm sure it'll be great. So, why have you selected? Well, actually, have we got any news or anything?
I don't know, hungover?
I finally finished watching The Walking Dead season 2.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was
Season 2?
great. Not season 2, season 6. Season 6?
Yeah.
The
Season
most
8.
recent one.
The recent one. Part 2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Spoiler warning for that?
yeah, it's been out months, hasn't it? But spoiler warning for The Walking Dead season 6. I really, really enjoyed the first half of the season. I think it was one of the best bits of Walking Dead since season 2, when there was a really, really good plot line with the missing kid. But the first half of season 6 falls into my favourite category of thing, where it all happens in real time. I like that. In fact, they overlapped so much it probably happens in less time than it takes you to watch it.
Yeah.
Which was super awesome.
How did you feel about the Glenn fake out that most people found really annoying?
Oh, I wasn't too bothered. I was sad for an episode, and then, but I was I didn't think he's definitely dead, but I also thought there's no way he can get out of this. So when it turned out that he did, I thought that was kind of good, because I like Glenn. However, it wouldn't surprise me if Glenn is the one who got beaten to death at the end.
Well, that's
because that would kind of fix the fake out in a nice way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing that annoyed people, because it was spoiler alert. Obviously, in the comic book, he is the one who dies in the
Lucille beating.
Lucille beating.
Also,
I don't know that. Sorry.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry.
I've not read the comic books, but I don't consider things from the comic books to be spoilers because I don't intend to read the comic books.
Okay.
So I don't feel like there's a spoiler there.
Okay, good. I'm glad. That could have been awkward. But yeah, because I feel like if they do follow that, then the teasing of killing him and then actually killing him feels like a bit of like Glenn death overload, maybe.
Well, maybe, yeah. However, it would go back to the earlier seasons arc of nobody has plot armor at all, and everybody is potentially going to die,
except for Rick and Cole.
Yeah. Cole. Yeah. However, I think maybe they should kill Rick.
Really bold.
Yeah, they would need to create a new character. Well, not create, or introduce or build up a new character to be as strong and as competent as him.
They have. She's called Carol and she kicks ass.
That's true, actually.
She's not a leader though.
No, she's not. No, but we need somebody to follow, because he's been the eye of the story for so long. And even when he's doing completely bonkers things, and we think he's an idiot, it's still his story. Yeah. So he's the one even though it's an ensemble piece kind of thing.
Star, yeah, he's the star.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think if they killed him, it'd be a very bold move, but they would need something else. Or alternatively, have him sacrifice himself for some grand ending at the end of season 7, and then stop.
Yeah, I don't know what the end game for The Walking Dead is, because the comic book doesn't have an end game. It's still going. Like it's still there are still episodes of book being released.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how. I guess they'll just keep making it until it stops being profitable, and it's very profitable now. So.
But that's such a bad move, I think, because that's what gets you something like Heroes, where you have 2 good seasons, then a slightly janky one, and then an appalling one, and then it stops.
Yeah, I agree.
Walking Dead has a really good 6-season run right now.
Yeah, it's had its ups and downs, but
yeah, overall it's been good. But if they do a season 7, which wraps up a bunch of stuff, gives us a heroic ending, kind of hope for the future, their story will continue, but we won't know it, kind of thing, that would be good.
Yeah.
Just look at Breaking Bad. Most people consider that. That is considered by many people to be one of the best things TV has ever produced. It's 5 seasons, it is controlled, it is tight, and it is wonderful, because they planned it properly.
Yeah. But I feel like the Breaking Bad, I can't remember when it became a phenomenon, but I feel like it was quite late into its run that it became a super popular thing. It might even have been when it was already. No, it wasn't when it was over. It didn't like come out of the gate as a huge big.
No, it didn't. Game of Thrones.
It really took off. It built up slowly.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that gave them more freedom to say, we're going to end this now. There were probably less voices, people behind the scenes, studio voices saying, no, this is popular. We must milk this dry, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm slightly worried that's where Game of Thrones is at the moment, because it's jumped ahead of the books, so it's suffering from not having much direction. And for my money, no spoilers, I'm going to try not to spoil anything in season 6, but for my money, the whole of season 6 has been a holding pattern. Nothing has happened. Yeah, Game of Thrones, nothing has happened that hasn't, in a couple of episodes' time, been undone.
Yeah, no, I felt like that was true of the last season, and then this season kicked off with the first couple of episodes of, finally things are happening, and then we're now 8 episodes in and I kind of feel a bit tricked. Actually nothing's really happened.
Yeah, it's like, he's alive, oh wait, no he's not, or he's back, and he's gone again. Or, she's got an army, oh she doesn't have an army now. Yeah. It's just, trial by combat is banned, trial by combat is not banned, trial by combat is banned again, the mountain is dead, the mountain's not dead, just, I don't know. Nothing has happened for about 2 seasons that hasn't been undone again, and I'm not bored when I'm watching the episodes. Minute to minute, it is thoroughly enjoyable. Any time Brienne is on screen is just gold.
There's not been enough Brienne, but I like the fact that they've acknowledged the fact that she's funny. The actress is quite. Has good comic delivery.
She does.
I like the few little bits of humour that she's getting more and more kind of snarky and sarcastic, which I enjoy.
But it's like really, really well delivered. It's like really deadpan kind of.
Yes.
Like just looking at the entire rest of the world and going, "You guys are idiots."
I think my favourite. I think there's a scene where the Thurman looks at her and she just kind of rolls her eyes, which is one of my favourite shots of the entire.
I love that. Yeah, that is amazing.
Your garlic bread will be ready now.
Oh,
yay! Snacks. Let's pause while we get snacks.
So this movie then, what do we need to talk about?
You were going to ask me why I chose this movie, I believe.
Yes, I do want to know that. I feel like we've exhausted Walking Dead and Breaking Bad now. Why have you chosen this god-awful shambles of a movie for us to watch, John?
Well, Harry's brief to me was to choose a bad film. So I thought, okay.
This is one of the worst.
This is a bad film. And I thought there's a few reasons I thought this would be an interesting one to watch. First of all, I'm not terribly interested in bad films that are trying to be bad. Like Sharknado, Snakes on a Plane type films aren't really very interesting to me, because if you're trying to be bad, if you're trying to be a bad film, then all you're going to be is a bad film. And my favourite kind of bad films are films that are really reaching for something, and they really try hard, and they fail spectacularly.
Yeah, and you can kind of see what they were going for.
Yeah.
Like they're flying so close to the sun, and you're thinking, oh, it could have been good, but it's so awful.
Yeah, nobody went into this movie wanting to make a terrible franchise-killing disaster.
Franchise-killing disaster.
Well, it did. This is like the Die Another Day of the Batman franchise.
It really
For a few
is,
years, it really wiped them out.
But it didn't come back until Christine Bale did.
And it came back so completely transformed from what it had been. The jump between this and Batman Forever and even Batman Returns isn't huge. Quality-wise, it goes way down, but it's stylistically, but the jump from this to Batman Begins, thank you, is massive. It's a completely different film. Totally stylish, and I find that very interesting. And I'd like, after we've watched the film, I'm hoping we can talk a bit about what they took out and what this film said, what the fate of this film said to people in Hollywood or whatever.
It was only an 8-year jump.
Yeah.
Between this and Batman Begins.
So it
seems
take
quite a short time.
Yeah. But it's not a huge
8 years is quite a long time.
In Hollywood, it's quite a long time. Yeah. So that was one reason. Other reason is I thought let's choose a film that's in your wheelhouse. I thought briefly about maybe Showgirls or Burlesque, which would be fun for me, but I wondered how much you guys, as straight guys, would get out of those kind of films. So I thought let's do something for my first podcast with you guys. Let's do something a bit more accessible for you.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
You speak a lot about Marvel comics.
This will be the second Batman movie and maybe the 5th comic book movie.
Yeah.
Or 19th if you include all the Marvel ones that we did.
So there's that. And also, this film is possibly the perfect film for you, Ross, because this is the most pun-filled film I've ever seen in my life.
I do love a good pun, and this one's got them.
Yeah. So
However, they're being delivered by Arnold Schwarzenegger, someone who's not good at puns.
I think that is one of the... I'm looking forward to watching this again if it's to see if it's as bad as I remember, because I remember Batman Forever. This and Batman Forever came out when I was a kid, so was it 1996, 1995, Batman Forever, and then this was like 1998, 1999?
97 this one, I'm looking at the TV screen where it's up.
Yeah.
It's 97 for Batman and Robin.
Okay, so these films, I definitely had them both on VHS, and I've seen them both a lot as a kid. I've not seen either of them for about 15 years, I would say. I remember a lot about Batman Forever. I remember specific scenes, particularly when Robin's whole family get wiped out in a trapeze.
In a freak trapeze accident.
Well, it's not a freak trapeze accident because there's a fight, isn't there?
Shoots them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know how well that film has aged, but I do remember that scene really disturbing me as a kid. And there's other scenes in the film, like Jim Carrey's performance in that film really sticks in my head.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, it's the perfect role for him to play, and he just like chewed the scenery. And yeah, and I remember Harvey Two-Face. I even remember Nicole Kidman's role in it. I remember a lot of things about the film. All I remember about this film is nipples and puns and nothing else.
Yep.
So I'm really interested to see what the plot of this film was, because I can't even remember. But all I know is it's so badly regarded, and
yeah. Well, one thing I remember about this one, Bane is in it.
I have no memory of Bane in this film.
Yeah, because for some reason Poison Ivy has got Bane as some sort of like pet. Basically, she somehow ends up with Bane as a pet, and yeah, it's not. And he wears a trench coat and a silly hat, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, I rewatched this one. I think I saw this at the cinema way back when, and because Batman Forever was great, and I was excited, and I enjoyed Robin in Batman Forever, and I thought having Robin in this would be great. I thought he was really good. The actor, whose name I can't remember, was great. I thought
The one who played Robin.
Yeah,
Chris O'Donnell.
thank you. I always get him mixed up with Chris O'Dowd.
Yes,
But
Chris O'Dowd as
that's
Robin
not
would be
the same
amazing.
person.
I would love to see a movie with Chris O'Dowd playing Robin.
I
That is
would
Batman.
watch that. And Richard Ayoade as Batman.
Yes.
Oh,
Why
I want
doesn't that
that.
film exist?
We should write that film.
Although, when did you last watch Batman Forever?
Well, that's the thing. I watched. I think when The Dark Knight Rises came out, I had particularly enjoyed the previous two Christian Bale ones, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to get myself up to date. So I watched every Batman movie, all four of the Tim Burton Schumacher ones, and then the Bale, what was then 2 movies, and then went to see the third one at the cinema, and that was the second time I'd watched Batman and Robin in my entire life.
So how long ago was that?
So that was 5 years.
Okay.
When did The Dark Knight Banes come out?
Yeah, I guess maybe about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
2012.
4 years ago. Thank you. Harry's just woken up from his hangover stupor to give us good comic book movie trivia.
I might not be so much a guest as a substitute in this podcast, because I'm not sure Harry's going to make it all the way through. But you know, because another thing interesting to me is that this film, like, this isn't Joel Schumacher's first time at the rodeo. Like, he did Batman Forever, and Batman Forever was a success. And this is considered so inferior. And I haven't seen Batman Forever, so I don't know how. I'd have to watch that back as well to see whether there was a huge amount of difference between the two, or
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of the times the franchise gets taken over by a new director who just royally screws it up.
Yeah.
But in this case, he'd already proved he could do it, and then he just blew it the second time out, which is quite rare.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that this is a bit of trivia that I heard, and I don't know if it's entirely true, but it would explain a lot. Apparently, before every scene, or at least before a lot of scenes in Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher would shout at everybody through a megaphone, "Remember, everybody, it's a cartoon." That explains why this movie is a shambles.
Well, that's
because he didn't do that in Batman Forever, and that is a reasonably serious, reasonably gritty Batman.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Maybe because Batman Forever made such money, he had more free reign here. Maybe everyone looks at this film as a failure, and in many ways it obviously was.
Absolutely was.
Yes, but maybe this is what I'm interested. I'm really interested to see it back. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is the film he wanted to make. Maybe he really. That's his interpretation of Batman. Is Because the Adam West ones were pretty cartoony. Maybe he wanted to pay homage to
The
that.
lycra and the running down the street.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe this is just the film he wanted to make, and people didn't accept it. But I think we should talk about that after the film when we've seen it.
I agree. So here we go with Batman and Robin, 1997. One of the worst movies ever made.
Or is it?
Or is it? Very good question.
Open minds.
Yeah. So, how's the movie?
It is appalling.
Tell me about it. I missed some bits.
Alright, well, one thing that I noticed towards the end that I quite enjoyed was that in the last maybe 15 minutes, we got something like 11 shots of bat claws being shot out of things, wrapping around things, and then the string going tight.
I really love that shot. It's like
All three of them shot one. We saw Batgirl, Robin, spoilers, Batgirl's in this. Do we even want to bother with the spoiler
we're not
cast
spoiling
on
this film for
one?
anybody.
Right, spoilers from now on. So, Batgirl, Robin, and Batman. We see them all zoomed in shot of their wrist, launching a sort of bat grapple. Of all three of them, zoomed in shot, zoomed in shot, zoomed in shot. And then we see a zoomed in shot of each of them separately locking onto something, and then they all get dragged upwards. Great. Less than a minute later, we see them do that again. 3 separate shots of shots, 3 separate shots of them catching something. It's just... and on the subject of grapples as well, the entire movie we spend our time learning how Batman is gradually coming to trust Robin, and at the end he doesn't save Robin, he lets Robin save himself because he now trusts him. Except Robin tries to save himself and would have died because he fails. And the reason he doesn't die is because Batgirl saves him, the person who Batman doesn't trust yet, because he hasn't spent the entire movie learning to trust him.
Wow.
So if she hadn't turned up by fluke, because Batman didn't plan that, if Alfred wasn't dying, she wouldn't have been there to save Robin. And Batman's lesson would have been, maybe I shouldn't have trusted him, because now he's splattered across all the concrete at the bottom of the observatory.
I had a lot of questions about Batgirl. I had a lot of...
Yeah.
First of all, Alfred is British. He's very, very British.
Yeah.
And she's his niece
From
London,
Oxbridge,
from Oxbridge,
obviously.
in London.
In
She's
London.
just got out of London. She's played by Alicia Silverstone from Clueless, who doesn't appear to be altering her accent in the slightest.
No, she's so American.
And also, the other thing I didn't know, Alfred is in his early hundreds. Okay. And they explicitly say that Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl, is his sister's daughter.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's even his great niece. She is his. How old is there's even like an old timey black and white photo of Barbara, clearly in her 30s, and it's like 1920. Like, when was this woman born?
When did she give birth to Batgirl when she herself was 70?
Either that, or Batgirl is actually 70 herself and incredibly well preserved. Like,
She's not. She is. No, Peg.
yeah, Peg.
Peg, the mother of Batgirl, Barbara Gordon. We'll get to that in a minute. Because that's another. Maybe Ra's al Ghul is Batgirl's dad. Maybe that's why she's immortal. She's actually if she's going to be Barbara Pennyworth, she wouldn't be Barbara Pennyworth, would she? Because she'd have the surname of whoever.
Alfred's niece, you mean?
Yeah, whoever Peg married, she'd have that person's surname. But Barbara something is actually Batgirl Barbara Gordon, the daughter of Commissioner Jim Gordon.
Oh, this is the comic book series.
Yeah,
Batgirl
so
is Commissioner Gordon's.
Exactly, and she's called Barbara.
Okay, right.
So this character is an amalgamation of a made-up character who's connected to Alfred for some reason, so they can talk about family more for no reason other than because they want to talk about family a lot and teach the wrong lesson about Robin. So they made her, but why make her Barbara? Why not make her somebody else and just make her a different Batgirl? Because that would have been fine. They made her Barbara, which means that she's definitely Barbara Gordon. In which case, is Peg
Are we back in the room?
Yeah, we're back.
So Harry's recording software is terrible. So Barbara Gordon / not Gordon. Jim Gordon is 1,000 years old as well. I think she might be Barbara Al Ghul, who is therefore Talia Al Ghul, in which case she wouldn't age like normal people.
See, I'm not familiar with the comic book.
Unless she's the daughter of Vandal Savage.
Okay. But so in the comic books, is Batgirl quite a richer, more capable character then?
She was for a while, but then she was crippled by the Joker.
Okay.
And became Oracle.
Okay.
I think in some versions she gained a bit of a superpower, sort of psychic and clairvoyance kind of powers, but the more mundane version of her is a kind of computer expert who acts as Batman's... Well, you know how Alfred sometimes does Batman's sort of running the back end, so when Batman's on a mission, Alfred autopilots the planes and sends in information and that kind of thing. Lucius Fox did that job for Christian Bale a little bit. Oracle becomes Batman's person at home.
Oh, okay.
Who runs all the computers and stuff for a while.
Well, that sounds empowering.
And but also his information broker. And she's a superhero in her own right, but not a physically active one.
Yeah, because I didn't really see the point of her in this film, apart from, like you said, to crowbar in this kind of family thing. But she kind of split the necessity of Robin at all, because she was there. Robin had nothing to do.
Yeah.
And Robin was really pointless, apart from just like being really pissed off about Batman not trusting him enough. Like, unjustifiably, I felt.
Because he is incompetent. He keeps doing stupid things.
Yeah, but also I feel like the concept of Batgirl, also of Supergirl as well, which was obviously a film in the 80s that bombed. Again, I don't know if that's in the comic book world or not. Is Supergirl?
Supergirl is a thing. She is Kara Zor-El.
Okay, and again, is she better in the comic books? Or
she's the cousin of Superman, but she is. She was somehow raised on Krypton, but only arrived.
She was about 7 years older than Superman, so she was a little girl.
Oh, okay.
When he was sent off as a baby.
That's right. Yes, but she arrived on Earth after a stasis period or something.
She was also sent off at the same time, to go and watch over him and help bring him up and stuff. But she got caught in some.
Yeah, there was a time warping thing. So she grew up on Krypton to adolescence at least, and then arrives on Earth once Superman is already 40 or something, and he takes her under his wing and makes her his protege and stuff and teaches her how to use her powers and that kind of thing. And she is arguably stronger than him in some senses because she beats the hell out of Darkseid in one case.
Okay, because I kind of feel like Batgirl and Supergirl in the world of the films that they appear in are kind of like the cinematic version of Mrs. Pac-Man.
Yes, they really are.
Like, they've just for branding purposes. Okay,
like
so we have Batman. Let's Batman plus boobs equals Batgirl.
Absolutely. And we saw some very gratuitous things.
Yeah, although
lots of
far
nipples.
less of her than we saw of Batman and Robin. I feel
we had
that opening arse shot was like,
that was
wow.
really gratuitous. It felt like that lingered.
It really did.
Yeah.
And also, this happened a lot in the film, and I think it's such an easy cliche to say, oh, Batman and Robin are gay. It's like the oldest joke in the book. But in this film,
they were very broy, weren't
this
they?
film is very... But that's interesting, because George Schumacher actually is gay, and he's one of the few... I imagine one of the few openly gay directors of films at this level, like big franchise movies at the time, probably still to this day. So that's another reason why I think, and this film definitely has a very kind of gay male gaze about it.
Yeah.
Even Poison Ivy is like the bigger erotic... First of all, she comes out dressed as a monkey, which I'm still...
That was erotic. I found it very erotic to watch her take off that.
To watch Uma Thurman dressed as a gorilla, and then
Taking
very
off the
slowly...
suit. And then another gorilla turns up and you think, oh, I wonder if this is a sexy henchwoman. And it's Bane.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah,
how disappointing.
why decided to turn up as the party just as Anyway, that's all
we
the
can't
costume
pick
choices
apart
available.
specific parts of
We
the
need to
movie.
really blend into this party. What should we wear?
Giant gorilla suit.
I guess it's the only thing that both Bane and Uma Thurman would fit into. Like, it would have to be. They couldn't really. You can't really put Bane in like a mask, you know.
No, that's true because he's already in.
They were both in a horse costume.
If he was a back end. That I would have preferred.
That would have been great.
But okay, but then that happens, and then she awkwardly gets out of the monkey suit, and then she's doing this kind of erotic strut.
Yeah.
But then we get about 5 seconds of Uma Thurman is a beautiful woman, very very sexy. I would not dispute that. But we get about 5 seconds of her, and then we get these random greased up muscle punks who come into shot, and she kind of has to awkwardly walk across them. And it's like she's out, she's slightly out of frame. It's more framed on them than it is on her.
It's Joel Schumacher's I hesitate to say gay agenda, but I really want to say it.
I really do feel like this film has, because again the bum shots, I can't
Yeah.
get past that bum
Well,
shot.
I like a good tooling up scene.
Yeah.
Pun intended, where they grab the weapons and put on the suit and stuff, and it works really well if it's swords or if it's batarangs or if it's guns. Doesn't matter what kind of movie. Straight after the opening credits, we get a tooling up scene.
But
Like
that's it.
nipples, bum, groin, wrist, blades,
That's it, it's
and
not
then
showing
hands grabbing weapons off walls.
Yeah, that's
It's
it's
great.
his bum is not a tool. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, he's got this tool, this weapon, and this weapon.
Yeah, it also lingers briefly on the belt buckle,
Yeah.
but I'm reasonably sure I wasn't looking at the belt
No,
buckle.
there was a lot of groin in there. So that cod piece was something else.
Also, I'm reasonably certain that Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy in this, I would say my pick for best actress
I completely
for the
agree.
movie. But I get the feeling that her character was aimed as being the straight female best friend to the gay guy. I feel like Joel Schumacher had created a person who he would most want to be best friends with, rather than a sexual object like what a straight director might have done.
I have a theory that very early into production of this film, Uma Thurman realised that she was not going to win an Oscar for this role.
So talks with her hands.
And she decided to just go for it. She is having that's not the thing about this film. All the actors, it's really miscast in almost every single actor is poorly cast.
Yes, I agree.
Except for Uma Thurman, because I feel like she's the only one who understood what the role was and decided to just chew the scenery and have so much fun with it. So yeah, I agree. She is by far the best person in this film because she is entertaining. Every time she is on the screen, I was entertained.
Yeah, I was.
Because she absolutely delivered it in the exact tone that this movie deserved.
Even her origin story when she was talking about giving plants a chance and stuff, I thought that was great. She's expositing directly into a little recording device, which may as well have not been there because the exposition was so awkward. And so much exposition. This movie is just full of exposition.
It really is.
There's a woman who holds a microphone, but doesn't have a camera pointed at her at any time.
Yeah, who's she talking to?
Who's just like, and here we are at the observatory, and I'm here with Batman. Bruce Wayne is conspicuously not here. I wonder if that's relevant. Anyway, I'm here with Batman at the grand dedication reopening of the Magic Giant Telescope, which won't come in handy later on for any reason at all. It's just exposition delivered by news people.
Is she even a journalist or just a woman with no inner monologue?
And a microphone.
Yeah, she just stands. Yeah. I guess she's supposed to be like the Joan Rivers type, but yeah, she's never on camera.
That's true.
Very strange.
Yeah, and no boom mic or anything.
No,
she's
nothing.
just got a mic, and it looks like a mic that is not a wireless mic, but it doesn't have a wire either. It was brilliant. You know what films do really good exposition? RoboCop and Starship Troopers both do news video kind of things, and I thought they were both brilliant. But I think they both predicted the existence of YouTube long before YouTube, because they both do something along the "Would you like to know more?" and then it shows a cursor clicking a thing, and it's like a link through to another video. They invented internet videos in RoboCop was the early '80s, and I think with Starship Troopers the early '90s.
I've not seen RoboCop. I've seen Starship Troopers, but not 20 years
Did
ago.
either of them have recommended videos or really annoying adverts from Google?
I don't know. I don't remember.
No.
I don't remember that much. I don't think so. They predicted YouTube when YouTube was good and not full of adverts like it is now. But yeah, I think your overall question, John, for the podcast, as it were, what was your question for this movie? Because I think we should talk about that.
Yeah, is this movie a train wreck or a misunderstood comedy classic? And I've now come to the conclusion, having watched the movie, that it's both.
Yes, I definitely come down pretty heavily on the side of misunderstood comedy classic, but not on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like we were saying before about reaching for the stars, and they have totally failed to make a serious movie. So it was a train wreck in the sense that it failed in what it was trying for. But oh my god, it's a wonderful comedy movie.
Yeah, I was entertained. I was never bored watching this film. Like, this is a 2-hour film, and I was entertained almost throughout, which I consider on some level good filmmaking.
You see a grappling hook, and if it was a serious movie, you'd have gone, oh, that was a decent enough grappling hook shot. It wasn't a good one, it didn't do anything new, but it was a decent enough grappling hook shot. Then you see it 5 more times in the next 15 minutes, and just laugh and laugh and laugh. because it's like when Austin Powers punches 5 guys in a row, and they just come at him one at a time, and he punches them, and he makes a joke about how he can punch them. In fact, actually, that might be Michael Caine in one of the Austin Powers. Like, come on, attack me one at a time. You know how this works. You're a henchman. Bam. You don't stand a chance. You've not even got a name tag. Bam. Because it's funny because they drive it on. It's like, oh, it's not funny anymore, and now we're going to do it again. So now it's funny again.
Yeah, it's comedy repetition. It's funny, then it's not funny, then it's really funny.
Exactly. And the grappling hooks did exactly that for me. I was just like the ice skates that they do the synchronized heel click and the ice skates come out.
That was, like they're suddenly Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz.
and later on they do a costume change so that they're in black but also with like a powder blue to match the ice. That's okay. It's like Leslie Nielsen gets beaten up in Naked Gun and he's covered in soot and blood and stuff, and he stands up, smooths his hair and turns around and he's perfect again. It was just like that. It was so terrible and yet brilliant.
I feel like the tone of this movie is actually the tone that Joel Schumacher wanted to have. That very tongue-in-cheek comic strip style, Adam West, definitely paying homage to the 60s TV series.
Yes, but I don't think Joel Schumacher wanted it to be funny, and it absolutely was.
Yeah, well, I don't think he wanted it to be so bad it's good funny, which it very much is. But I feel like it fails as an action movie, but succeeds as a piece of silliness.
It succeeds as a parody on Batman.
Yeah, but
in an interesting way, because I claim that everything since GoldenEye was Carry On Bond, where it was just parodying itself. But it wasn't a sort of... It was trying to be a self-aware parody, but really failing miserably. This Batman is a completely not self-aware parody on itself, but still totally works as a terrible movie.
And I think if everybody in this movie had approached it, all the actors had approached it in the way Uma Thurman did, it would be a better film. If everybody had really thrown themselves into it. Because, let's go to George Clooney for a second, because he gets so much shit for this film.
Yeah.
I don't think he was that bad. If I made a list of all the things that were wrong with this movie, George Clooney would be very low down that list.
Yeah,
he's not good, but the worst you could say is he's kind of bland. Like he doesn't fail, but he just seems very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem comfortable in the role.
It's a paycheck movie for him, isn't it? I don't know if he was thinking, oh, after this one maybe I'll be Batman for ages.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be Batman forever.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing
Val Kilmer wasn't.
It's kind of a thankless role because the villains are the most fun roles in this film.
Yeah.
Like Batman gets a couple of quips, but they're not very good. It's like, oh, this is where Superman works alone. Like he gets a few little bitchy quips in there, but he doesnn't really get a lot to work with. He's just reacting to things through the movie. Really.
Yeah, that's true.
There's not a lot of drama or conflict in Batman's character, apart from there's some slight trust issues with Robin. But
family stuff again.
Yeah, but it's really not fun. And then there's the quite touching little scene with Alfred when Alfred's dying, which I thought was actually quite a nice little scene, when the bedside scene.
That was very good. Yeah. That was as if it was in a real film.
Yeah, but that again, there wasn't enough of it. Like it was so out of place. It was like that had been crowbarred for a completely different film. Yeah. Like the sincerity of that scene was so at odds with everything else that was happening.
All the comedy action that was happening, all the rest of it.
And I wonder if the actor who played Alfred thought he was in a serious drama, and then he went to because he wasn't in any of the scenes with Poison Ivy or.
He wasn't in any of the comedy stuff.
Yes. So when he must have been horrified when he turned up to the premiere and just saw
Oh God, I'm in a comedy movie. Yeah. Oh, I believe he died pretty soon after that movie, so it might be that he missed the premiere.
Maybe it killed him.
I would want to look that up, but I don't think he lived.
He didn't look like he was long for this world, to be honest.
Partly because he had McGregor stint stage 1, which is super convenient for the plot because that's what Freeze's wife had as well.
And what are the symptoms of McGregor's syndrome exactly? Just you
really tired and English.
Tired English, can't come up with computer passwords.
Oh, maybe he's American, but he's suffering from McGregor syndrome, which makes him sound English, and that's why his niece is not English either.
That could explain it. Although he's in English in all the films, isn't he? So.
Oh, that's true. Well, he's had McGregor syndrome for years.
Yeah.
I feel like we already knew, like the doctor comes in and says, it's McGregor syndrome. I feel like we already knew
join those dots.
Yeah.
We don't know like it's leukemia. Alfred has leukemia.
I was expecting something like The Simpsons. He was just going to walk in and say, he's got some kind of syndrome where the skeleton tries to escape through the mouth. Thank you, Dr. Nick. Keep electrocuting him with this car battery every 15 seconds. The leg bone's connected to the thyroid. The thyroid's connected to my wristwatch. Dr. Nick is the best. One of the main reasons why Simpsons is rubbish now is because Dr. Nick and Troy McClure aren't in it.
It's true. Dr. Nick's still in it, isn't he? I thought he wasn't the same actor. That wasn't Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman was only Troy McClure and the Lionel Hutz. I don't know if it's Dr. Nick.
Yeah.
Dr. Nick was in the movie, and that's long after Phil Hartman.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Nick died in the movie.
He did, but I think he's been in subsequent episodes. So
Dr. Nick died in the movie?
Yeah, he gets impaled by the glass shard that falls from the dome.
Oh, that's right,
And he goes, bye.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, that was...
I'm pretty sure that wasn't the end of the character though. I'm pretty sure they did bring him back. Not that many months.
He was one of my favourites.
Anyway, okay, so...
Anyway, back to Batman
Yeah.
Robin, sort of.
Yeah. Harry, have you got any thoughts on this? We're not getting much from you on this. Did
Yeah.
you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the film?
Yeah.
Total train wreck or misunderstood comedy classic?
It was a good thing to sleep to.
Well, that's it.
Nice.
It was a soothing lullaby of bad puns and screaming.
Oh, yeah, he didn't ever say, "Ice to see you."
No, I felt robbed of that.
Yeah,
I
we
really
both
did.
independently were convinced that he said it in this movie. Maybe we should have written the puns for this movie.
Yeah, it's
Several of the puns weren't even puns. It's like, what killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice
Age!
It's just like
Well, for a start, no it didn't, but also that's not a pun.
yeah, again, miscast. So miscast in this film. Like, yeah, you Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's not so much an actor as a prop, really. Anyway, at the best of times, like he's a device that you can employ, and sometimes he was deployed very well. But if you give him any film where, I would say any Arnold Schwarzenegger film that asks him to deliver lines of dialogue more than 3 syllables long at a time, is really pushing his acting abilities a little bit.
That's true.
And this film relies almost entirely on wordplay, on clever wordplay, and the fact that he's cast as a scientist.
Yes.
Which is not and a decathlete.
Yeah.
Did I hear right? He's
A
also
decathlete, yeah,
Like,
for some reason.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is obviously was in incredible shape, but he does not look like a decathlete.
No, decathletes are rangy people
Yeah,
who
they
can
run,
and jump
Yeah.
and be fast. He's not that.
Yeah, so that was an odd detail. There's so many odd
Boxer,
details.
I might have believed.
Totally. That world champion boxer turned
Turn scientist.
world's leading authority on ice
Coldness.
Yeah. I could buy that in the realm of this film, but decathlete.
No.
And there was no reason for that.
Yeah, why did they
There was
bother
a bit
putting
where he
that in?
runs and jumps and hurdles or whatever decathletes do.
I mean, why did Freeze have to be a giant imposing person outside of his suit? The suit made him giant and imposing. He was before that a scientist. Normal body shape. He didn't have a particular, like in the comics, he wasn't physically gigantic or anything. So why Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been better cast as Bane.
Yes.
It had the exact right amount of dialogue for him. Just one word after every
bomb. But then he says bomb 4 more times. It's like he does it once, it's like, oh, that's really cheesy and terrible. And then he does it 4 more times and it's funny again. It's so good. Comedy classic.
But I feel like if they cast someone very like Gary Oldman, I think could have played Dr. Freeze and could have really chewed up that. He would have really gone for those puns with the dramatic pauses.
Like Gary Oldman in Fifth Element.
Yeah.
That Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
The one who is just completely balls to the wall bananas.
Arnold Schwarzenegger looked incredibly uncomfortable in this film. And
he can deliver a good one-line pun. Like my favourite one I've ever heard from him is in Commando when he breaks a guy's neck and then someone says, "Is he okay?" He's like, "He is dead tired." He basically just looks at the camera to deliver that line. And that is brilliant. But in this, he just had too many, I think, and didn't quite deliver them properly, and none of them were puns. Well, most of them weren't puns.
Also, I have a few questions about the scientific veracity of this
film.
Oh,
yeah, Ross's Science Corner. It's awful.
Why is the most powerful... Why is it diamonds? Why does it need diamonds so much?
Something to do with refracting lasers.
Okay.
But diamonds, like, you can focus a laser with a diamond, but it's not like... The shape of something has a big effect on its refractive property, as well as like a thicker lens is more focusing. And diamond is very good at focusing, but its refractive index is like 2.5. The refractive index of water is 1.3. The refractive index of air is 1, and the refractive index of perspex is like 2. So diamond isn't exactly way above that. It's not like we've gone from normal things to 10 times better. It's like half as good again. So diamonds aren't really necessary. and they seem to power the suit.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
In what world, like, the lasers are presumably powering the suit, some kind of laser-based coolant system, and he needs the diamonds to focus the lasers, but it seems like he runs out of energy.
Yeah. So
Like,
do the diamonds like get worn away? Like,
Does he
melt?
burn the diamonds? It's some sort of... Like, if it had said he's developed some sort of fusion using diamonds, I'd have been like, yeah, fine, happy with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain much, but don't say things that aren't true.
That happened, yeah. That's what I mean. There's a lot of things, there's little details in this film that don't really need to be there, and actually take away from whatever internal logic.
Yeah,
it has.
like, I'm fine with science in movies. I'm fine if you say, this is because of a new technology and I'm not going to explain it. That's okay, I'll accept that. But if you say this is because of a new technology and then explain it in detail and it's either not self-consistent or defies science we already know, then you've gone too far. If you completely ignore it, then that's okay as well. It's just like in the Hulk, he says, if we are off by even the smallest integer. The smallest integer, my friend, is 1. Do you mean off by 1? In which case, what does that mean? If he'd said off by the smallest amount, that would have been much more accurate, but they wanted to use the word integer for some reason.
Word, yeah.
Exactly, it makes it sound more sciencey, but to people who know what the word integer means, the smallest integer is 1, unless the smallest integer is 0. Because 0 is also an integer, it's a whole number. So, maybe off by the smallest integer means exactly correct.
Okay.
Because if the smallest integer is 0,
then
you're not off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
and in Ant-Man, you shrink. Why? Because of pin particles. Stop! Pin particles make you shrink. Done.
Yeah.
Do not explain that it shrinks the spaces between atoms and then subsequently becomes smaller than atoms. No. Because once you've shrunk all the spaces so the atoms are touching each other, you are, as small as you can get by your own argument. If you then make the atoms smaller, you've ruined your argument. Just, either no science or get it right.
Okay.
Drives me crazy.
I felt like the motivations for both the villains in this film were very, very broad, even by like Batman the standards. Like, okay, so Poison Ivy wants to take over the world for plants. Okay, I kind of buy it. It doesn't seem to launch an end game there, but I can kind of see it. His one is that his wife is got stage 3 or stage 4 McGregor syndrome.
Yeah.
So he needs to get funding to research a cure.
Yeah.
And in order to get funding, he's burning through diamonds like there's no tomorrow. And he has built this gigantic layer. And he wants to freeze the city so that people will throw money at him.
Yeah, I think it was hold the city to ransom originally.
So he can get the money to fund research. But if McGregor syndrome is clearly killing people at least 2 people in this quite small universe have contracted, so it must be quite a deadly disease with no known cure. So how about people would fund it anyway?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to turn super evil to get funding for a really deadly disease that people
exactly.
don't
People are dying of this.
Yeah, just make a case.
Just put a case forward. And medical establishments love that kind of story as well. McGregor syndrome hurts loads of people, but I will be super motivated because my wife has it.
Yeah.
So I want to research it, please give me money, and I promise you that I will work really hard using your money because it's my wife. And also he managed to build the suit somewhere between getting out of the liquid nitrogen bath or whatever it was. Not liquid nitrogen because it was only -50, they said that. So it wasn't liquid nitrogen, it was liquid something and it was cold. But he gets out of that and then presumably builds the suit straight away before dying.
Maybe he builds it from the vat. So he's just has people bring the bits to him. Yeah, oh god.
Yeah, because we established he can't survive outside of incredibly cold conditions without dying. Except that scantily clad woman in his lair.
With her one scene.
With her one scene, who's wearing a sort of skimpy, sort of swimsuit kind of affair with a see-through jacket over the top. She would definitely die because all the people in the big Eskimo fur coveralls were shivering and passing out. And she's just wandering around fine. I want to concentrate on her superpowers.
Yeah, I totally want some kind of spin-off that focuses on her narrative. I want an origin story for that woman.
Yeah,
what led her to...
Does she have Mr. Freeze's powers too?
I don't know, she never came back. Like, she just wandered
Why
off.
did he hire her as a henchman? Or did he date her briefly after his wife? But then he's like, my heart is only for my wife. Then why is she there?
Yeah, what Also, the scene where he is leading his henchmen in a sing-along of some "It's
Yeah.
a small world after all" kind of song. What was that?
I don't know, because then he immediately wanders off and starts building his death weapon.
Yeah. He's like, well, you know,
Just-
I've got, it's a
is it
very scarce time to
glimpse
save my wife's life, but sing-along time.
It's a glimpse into... Yeah, where do Batman villains get their henchmen from?
Yeah, what was the audition process?
Have to be able to skate.
Yeah. I think he just pulled them off the cast of Starlight Express or something.
Yeah. Starlight Express! Starlight Express! Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Other science thing. They talk about how it's nighttime here, but the sun's up. Elsewhere in the world, can we redirect the sunlight using our satellites? And Robin says, it's daytime on the other side of the equator. Well, it might be, but not if you just go to the other side of the equator. On the other side of the equator, but at the same latitude, you will find that it's just the same time. It's still nighttime on the other side of the equator, unless you also go east or west. So why did he say on the other side of the equator when he could have said on the other side of the world? They wanted to put the word equator in, but they should have used the word world, which is a much more mundane but more correct one.
Yeah.
And also he says the sun rises in the Congo. Why did he pick the Congo in particular?
I feel like the script for this film probably took about as long to write as it would take to read.
Yeah.
I really feel like there was no redrafting process whatsoever, because every single thing that happened was like the first thought that comes into someone's head, and it would have been so easy for people to say, you know what, that pun's not really a pun, or that's a pretty. That doesn't make any sense, or that's demonstrably wrong.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, well let's make right something. Like, for example, the Alfred's niece, despite being the mother of a long
Exactly.
silent
She's
film
right.
star. Yeah, they could have said great niece. They didn't need to. Like there were so many unnecessary plot holes.
Like, also, the photo of Peg, you
Yeah.
see it a few times. Sometimes she's signed it, sometimes
Yeah.
she hasn't. The photo is from the 20s. Why?
Really? And she looked like some kind of chorus girl. Like it wasn't like a family photo. It wasn't like here's Alfred's sister. Here's Alfred's favourite 1920s pinup.
Called Peg, who he met once,
Yeah.
and she said, "Oh, you're such a lovely guy. Let me sign this photo for you. Love from Peg."
And then
Yeah.
there's the whole other plot down that kind of.
Oh,
fizzled
and
out.
the password was Peg.
Yes.
A computer
One of my
could
favourite
break that
scenes in the
so
entire
fast.
film is Alicia Silverstone entering passwords like England,
Yes!
Alfred.
He'd use his name and his country of origin.
No numbers, no capitalisation.
Ah, well, that's an interesting one, because capitalisation is capitalisation of numbers and using numbers instead of letters. Computers don't care about that. They can crack that just as easy. Because let's say you've got 26 letters, you've got 10 numbers, and you've got some punctuation marks. Let's say you've got 100 characters, possibly. You know, numbers, capitals, non-capitals, etc. You've got 100 numbers, 100 options, let's say. Every time you add another letter, you multiply the possibilities of the password by 100. So if you're trying to guess a one-letter password, you have 1 in 100 chance. So you try 100 times, you've got it. A two-letter password is 100 times 100. A three-letter password is 100 times 100 times 100. Which means a three-letter password is ridiculously easy for a computer to crack, because it just tries all the options in a split second and succeeds.
Well, she's not got any kind of hacking up. She's just like guessing. She's just typing words.
Yeah.
Like,
So for a human being
it's
to guess
tough,
it, yeah. But something like a long password, like a full sentence, is ridiculously easy for a human to remember, but hard for a computer to crack because it's got so many options.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So writing the sentence "My name is Alfred" as your password is really hard for a computer to crack because it's so long. There are so many iterations possible.
Okay.
Whereas Peg is really easy for a computer to crack because it's only 3 options.
I guess maybe it had to be easy because she was supposed to give that to Alfred's long lost brother.
What was the point of
There
it?
was no payoff to that whatsoever. And he's
the Maharaja's butler or something.
You come from a long line of butlers serving crazy millionaires around the world.
Yeah, and yet Barbara is trying to save Alfred from being Batman's butler.
Yeah.
But she has never checked with him whether or not he wants saving, and also she comes from a long line of butlers. That she decided to break family tradition suddenly to save his life from being Batman's butler.
And we never get a scene where she resolves her anger about the fact that he's a butler either. Like,
She never resolves it.
No, she moans about the fact that he's given his life to servitude, and which is a fair, it has the bones of a fair, interesting plot line and flesh out Alfred's character.
But then Batman asks him, and he says,
like,
"Oh,
no, it's
fine,
fine,
thanks.
yeah.
I love working for heroes."
Yeah. Also, so Alfred, when she hacks into the computer, not when she guesses the password, sorry, and then gets
it turns into a projector for no reason.
Yeah, projects onto her face. And then she
like
goes
in comedy movies.
Yeah. Then she goes to the Batcave and finds the Alfred's downloaded his brain algorithm.
Yes! I feel like that was a plot point that needed some extra work.
Yeah. And
he has managed to he has cracked the singularity. That's the most important. Well, one version of the singularity. There's lots of types of singularity. He's cracked the point of putting his brain into a computer. That's an entire film. That bit is an entire film. Also, his little budding process, his little budding filmmaking degree that he's been working on. Because instead of the CD being full of
data,
files and like a file management system, it's an opening credits for his Batman and Robin movie. It's like schematics of bikes moving over each other, and then the symbol flies in. Like, that's a terrible way of putting your secret on a CD.
Okay, but also, so she gets to the Batcave and she discovers that Alfred has designed a... Does Alfred make the bat suits then, or does he just?
I think so. He makes them.
Yeah, okay, so
he took the liberty, sir.
So how did in the time between? I don't know how long she was supposed to have been living with them. I don't know what the time frame of this film is. It seems like it's a couple of days, but it could just as easily be months, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, but how does he then, while suffering from McGregor syndrome as well, he manages to get
several suits.
Makes several bat suits, and yeah, so that means that he's responsible for the nipples as well.
That's true.
That's Alfred's fault.
His niece and two people he calls his son.
He makes really scarily, sexy, rubber fetishy kind of costumes for them.
With really detailed nipples, which Uma Thurman comments on.
Yeah.
Points out, he's like, "Oh, I do love moulded anatomically correct rubber," while pawing Batman's nipples. I think... Well, actually, what you said about the script, I think the script was actually... It wasn't written in... You said the whole script was written in 2 hours, as long as it takes to read it. I think that the whole script is written in 2 hours, but that didn't cover the whole script. Yeah. As in, it took me 2 hours to write. I assumed it would take 2 hours to read. So he sat down and wrote 2 hours of script. He wrote script for 2 hours, but it actually only took 15 minutes to read. Yeah. So then they made up the rest of the movie.
Probably.
They just glued bits together.
It's a very unwieldy film.
Yeah. So my recommendation overall is watch this for the ironic value, because it's a hilarious comedy movie.
Yeah, I was 100% entertained by this film.
And I've realised that we've probably talked for a really long time, because Harry's job is usually to stop us.
Yeah,
Harry's currently asleep.
I'm not asleep.
How long have we been? 37 minutes?
Right, maybe we should wrap up there.
Okay, actually, can I just talk about one more thing on this?
Go for it.
Yeah. So after this film, obviously, franchise disappears for a few years, goes into production hell, and then comes back as, the Christian Bale Batman series. I'm interested about the fact that is... Because I think the Christian Bale films are very good, but I do find them quite dour and quite serious. They take themselves very, very seriously.
That's a Batman world where Superman and magic don't exist.
Yeah, exactly, which I think takes a lot away of what I enjoy about those kind of films.
I like Batman as part of an ensemble.
Yeah. So do you miss, even though obviously they're an improvement, do you miss any of the elements that you saw in this film in the subsequent Batman films?
I kind of like the gadgets. I don't think Batman did a lot of gadget stuff in Christian Bale. Mm-hmm. I feel like he needed more of a utility belt, more grappling hooks and stuff. Mm-hmm. I kind of miss the Robin storyline as well. I think it would have been cool if Christian Bale had a Robin. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we needed it to be an origin story of Robin. Yeah. So if we'd had a fourth film, maybe we would have had, in the subsequent time between Bane and now, the Dark Knight Banes or whatever, he's trained up Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be his Robin, but we don't see the origin. It's just the fourth movie in the series is, Robin is there now. I think I would have quite liked that. A gritty Robin with the big stick, who fights with a quarterstaff, and he's vicious but doesn't kill, because Batman's taught that to him. That would have been quite cool. I would have enjoyed that.
Okay.
I've heard an interesting theory that Batman v Superman is actually the 5th Batman movie.
Okay.
Batman v Batman 5
Yeah.
Superman.
Ah, okay.
It's actually a continuity directly from Batman and Robin.
Okay. I haven't seen it, so that makes sense.
No, it makes no sense at all,
Okay.
but I think it's a hilarious thing. Like, Man of Steel was a spin-off, because that's a Batman world where Superman exists, because he references him. So, Man of Steel was a Superman spin-off of that, and now Batman vs Superman is actually Batman 5 Superman, and they just recast him, and now he's older, and that would fit because it's 20 years later.
Okay.
And so this Batman's a 20-year older one, and maybe Robin has died. Maybe the Robin who we know has died because of the Suicide Squad trailer.
Okay.
Maybe that Robin who died was Chris O'Donnell.
Okay.
I think that would be kind of good. And that means that the new Jared Leto's Joker is just someone who is not the Joker,
A copycat killer.
but he's a copycat of Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. I think that kind of works because there is nothing that contradicts that so far. So it kind of works.
Is Batman and Robin a worse film than Batman v Superman?
I like Batman vs Superman.
Okay.
It was unwieldy and shambolic, but overall I enjoyed it.
So much the same as this in many ways.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much like everything that every superhero movie coming out at the moment that's not Marvel is basically a decent movie, but it's a complete mess. So Batman vs Superman was 2.5 hours, and they could absolutely have cut 45 minutes, and that just made a mess of it.
Yeah.
X-Men Apocalypse, I really enjoyed it, but it was a mess, and the X-Men world is a mess at the moment. Marvel know their continuity and know how to make a continuous series of movies in a way that if they didn't have it in mind when Iron Man happened, they certainly used that as a jumping off point to effectively make a world.
Yeah.
And they've managed like 9 seasons of TV as well to all fit in together and all dovetails nicely. Batman vs Superman was a mess. X-Men is a mess. It's just, I think Batman vs Superman is a better film than this, but this is probably more enjoyable to watch because I watched it as a comedy.
Yeah.
I watched Batman vs Superman. You can't let Batman vs Superman off.
You hold it to a higher standard.
But yeah, it's more recent. I hold it to a higher standard generally, and it doesn't work as a different genre to what they intended it to. You can't watch it and think, this is a spoof, and enjoy it that way. This Batman and Robin, you absolutely can.
Yeah, that's what I've not seen Batman v Superman, but what I've heard from people who have seen it is that it's not bad in a funny way. It's just kind of the things that don't work are just things that are kind of boring or kind of don't make sense.
I gave it a lot of latitude in our review of it several months ago, and I do still enjoy it. I stand by that review, but it is a mess.
Yeah,
it's a complete mess, even though I enjoyed it. But yeah, Batman and Robin, I recommend it as an ironic watch. Harry, recommendations. Would you recommend a rewatch of Batman and Robin?
Ice cream van.
Should we watch it again when you are sober and awake?
No.
Let's watch it again now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Since Harry missed it. Alright, so my overall recommendation is would watch again. Because I have. This is the 3rd viewing at least of this movie.
I agree. I'm not going to watch it again soon.
No, that's fine.
I think the thing about this film is you need to watch it and leave it long enough, because I've not watched this film in about 10-15 years, and I think that's a good gap, because I'd forgot, like you said last week about the other week about Lola's Run Lola Run, how you wanted to watch it again but not until you've forgotten all the cool things about it.
Yeah, but in particular I want to watch it, Run Lola Run and this movie. I want to watch them with someone.
Yes. Yeah,
who
I think
maybe hasn't seen it before.
Yeah, this is definitely a social experience. I would not enjoy this movie as much if I was not laughing along with somebody else.
Yes, that's true, and just shouting rubbish at the screen about how terrible it is.
Absolutely. But I think you need to have forgotten just how crazy this film actually is, and then you watch it back and you can there were so many joyous moments in this film that just made me
another thing, the Alfred cracking the human robot interface was a major part of the movie, but also Batman has a laser which can heat up like 10 cubic meters of water by several degrees in only a couple of seconds. The power on that laser.
The whole thing about the freezing and the thawing of the people. I don't think any of that is biologically
correct. But nonetheless,
or scientifically correct.
Yeah, biologically, I don't know what that would do to Robin, but what he literally did to the water was heat up so much water in only a few seconds that laser is more powerful than any laser on Earth by a factor of hundreds.
And if it's that powerful, that water's going to continue to get hotter, surely. So Robin's just basically going to board alive like a crab.
Well, he pulled him out quite quick.
Okay.
So, you know, but presumably the whole room around them was frozen, so that water must have been pretty cool to begin with. And he heated it up in seconds. So yeah, that was a massive thing.
Oh, I do just want to pay tribute as well. Complete change of subject. I want to pay tribute to the moment when Poison Ivy delivers an endorsement of her own spin-off toy.
Yes.
That's why the Poison Ivy action figure comes complete with Bane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think the action figure was a thing?
I think they probably did. It reminded me actually a bit of Wayne's World. I think in Wayne's World they actually try and sell the VHS of Wayne's World or something like that.
Really?
I think they make reference to something other than the movie that is part of the Wayne's World franchise or something. I can't remember exactly how they did it, but they definitely did a bit where they did a load of product placement, really obviously.
But I feel like Wayne's World can do that because it's a comedy. It doesn't have to be break the fourth wall. That is the only moment that really breaks the fourth wall in this film, and it's almost like whoever's writing the script got really pissed off with the studio execs saying you really need to get these indoors and
Sorry, that stopped again. I got a phone call.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Where did it stop?
Literally when I said it just stopped.
Oh, okay. We were just moaning about the product placement in this film is that particular line.
That was grotesque. Yeah.
And I can't remember that toy. I can't remember that action figure being a thing.
No, I can't either. But they probably did exist.
Yeah.
But it's not like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles level of buy the action figure, but it was pretty gratuitous. Also, I bet that when you buy the Poison Ivy action figure, you don't get Bane free with it.
I don't know how many people would.
Because they'd both be similar sizes, they'd both be similar. It's not like you get a utility belt with Batman. It's like you get a whole other action figure. No, you buy them both separately for like 15 quid.
Also, I would question the child that would really want the Poison Ivy action figure from this film.
That's true. You would want Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, surely.
That really could have tapped into the gay kid demographic because I would have wanted her, but I don't think many people.
That's what I mean about Joel Schumacher's preferred straight female best friend.
Yeah.
You know, that is exactly what character she was. I think that.
And I think it's very telling actually that Joel Schumacher's only significant film after making this was Phantom of the Opera, which is incredibly camp. So he went back to doing what he loved. So good for you, Joel.
I'll tell you what did have good product placement: Deadpool.
Because
Deadpool has an action figure of the previous Deadpool from
But again, that's a film
that
I've not seen it, but again, from what I've heard, it's a film
fourth
that can break the fourth wall.
Yeah, huge amounts of fourth wall breaking, and he actually says he picks up the Deadpool figurine and says, "This is one of my most prized possessions." Throws it aside and picks up something from underneath it that is his most prized possession, which I believe is a Wham LP. It's glorious.
I need to see Deadpool. I've heard so many things about
it's
that.
really good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that one.
Okay.
Anyway, I think Harry was right when he said we need to wrap up because we've talked a lot about this ludicrous movie. So thank you very much for listening. I guess I'll try and remember the sign off while Harry's moaning in the corner. Catch us on Twitter, Beer Pizza Movie. Catch us on Facebook, Beer Pizza and a Movie. Catch us all over the internet, Beer Pizza and a Movie. Tweet at us. Is this a train wreck of a movie or the world's greatest comedy?
Or somewhere in between, or both.
Or neither. Thank you very much for listening, folks. Thank you, John, for coming on and guesting with us and replacing Harry this week because he's technically here, but not really in it.
I have one more question. Can I come back at some point in the future and can we do Catwoman?
Oh my God! Yes. Right. Next time you see John, hear John with us, we will be doing the Catwoman movie, which I don't think I ever actually watched, so I would be definitely up for that. So, Harry, anything to say on signing off?
Next week, Independence Day.
Oh yes. Yeah. We'll possibly do that as a multiple segment because I think we should rewatch Independence Day.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not actually looking forward to going to the cinema.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Alright, so next time, Independence Day. Thank you very much for listening, folks. And watch out for Catwoman in the future.
Yay! Meow.
Thank you. Meow. Exactly.
Bye.
Cheers, folks.
Bye.